And welcome to Recovery Report Live. I'm Dan Odess, president of GlobalPro, where we manage risk to recovery, and we've managed more than $1 billion in recovery. We've also helped thousands of community associations and business owners place insurance. Whether it's recovering from loss or placing insurance, or you going through this cycle of renewal, we are your one-stop shop for all your insurance-related needs. We've been doing it for more than a decade, and we're going to continue doing it, pioneering in this space to make sure that policyholders' interests are represented. Making sure you have representation is an interesting point, because there has been a rise of conflated and confusing information, mostly coming from brokers, insurance brokers that are selling you insurance. Whether you're a community association or a business owner, you need to better understand the role players in the actual insurance process. Understand this: there are 3 things that you need to realize when dealing with your broker. Number 1, they are not licensed to actually adjust insurance claims. Number 2, your policy specifically will state where you need to make claims. And most often that notice is not to your broker. In fact, if you give the notice to your broker, you may be in breach of the actual contract and your claim could get denied. Number 3, and I think probably one of the most important things, is that they may be incentivized to actually act against your interest because they have a contract interest with the insurance company, whereby if they have a low loss run ratio, which is a complicated topic, and I'm certainly not going to dive too deep into it today, but let's just say it this way: if they sell you an insurance product and you pay a specific premium and you don't make claims, and that transaction or that business transaction is profitable to the insurance company, because you don't make claims or are not paid on your claims, let's say they get denied or underpaid, and more money goes to the insurance company, it's more highly profitable to them. And think of this on scale. If everyone is disincentivized to make claims or to avoid making claims, or they make claims that get denied or underpaid, and your broker advocates against having representation, they may share in the profit from that policy. They may share in the profit of that business transaction with the insurance company. So their financial interests are not aligned with you either. So again, from the top, they're not licensed. Why? Because they're licensed to sell you a product. They are most often, like in the state of Florida, licensed as a 220 to sell you insurance. In fact, I went and got my license as an insurance adjuster as well as an insurance broker. But I don't adjust claims where we've sold product. In fact, we don't sell product, we offer services. And I got the license more to understand the process that a broker would go through to get the license, more so than ever with an anticipation of actually selling an actual product. But I understand what they have to do to get their license, and it has much of nothing to do with the actual claims process. Very little of the study to get the license has anything to do with the claims process. And in fact, if you actually break down some of the laws for insurance agents and brokers, it will say that they only can represent the interest of the insurance company if the insurance company authorizes them to do it. Nowhere in any sort of law that I have found throughout the entire country, the United States, have I seen laws which allows an insurance agent to actually adjust a claim on behalf of a policyholder they sold insurance to. So when I hear brokers talk about how we have claims professionals on staff and how they can work with your insurance company because they have a specific kind of relationship or a good relationship or whatever they may want to say with that insurance company or the representative of the insurance companies, I then move to my third point, which is, are they financially incentivized or in line with your goals, which is to be restored financially to a pre-loss condition? And it begs the question as to how that could possibly be if one and or more of the 3 issues that I raised are true. The number 1 is they absolutely are not licensed to adjust your claim. Number 2, obviously I told you, the policy itself. I have yet to see a commercial policy sold to a community association that actually directs the community association to give its first notice of a claim to a broker. it actually says to give it to either a third-party administrator, or TPA, or the insurance company directly, and will provide contact information for it. Now, if your community association has bought a multi-layered policy that may have some pro rata share from a different insurance companies on each of its layers, or a insurance company took one or more of the layers, each policy will have its own reporting requirements and standards. And when most brokers I know, and I would add this as a fourth point, most brokers don't have your actual insurance policy on their computers in front of them when you are noticing them of the claims, which you shouldn't be doing in the first place. And they oftentimes sell you a product based on spreadsheets and marketing information either given to them by the insurance company or something they internally will create themselves. So that may be the fourth reason why your broker is not the person to call when you experience a loss and damage. These are such obvious issues, but we oftentimes see, particularly for community associations and their boards, struggle with the idea of not involving their broker when in fact there's so many reasons not to. It fundamentally makes absolutely no sense to involve them in it. Think of it this way. Let me put it in the most simplest terms. If you experience an issue with your car that you just bought, are you contacting your salesperson, or are you going to go to a mechanic to diagnose and to repair and fix the issue? The answer is so obvious. You would go to the mechanic. Why? Well, they have the tools, the knowledge, and experience to be able to make sure that your car, your vehicle, is properly repaired expediently in the shortest amount of time possible, right? But however, remember, that mechanic in that situation, do they represent your interest? No, they represent the dealer's interest. So you question that invoice. You oftentimes do. And when money's coming out of your pocket, right, to pay for those things, you watch every dollar of it. I know you do. But when it comes to insurance, we turn a blind eye. We think that the insurance company adjuster that came out is working with us or for us and is going to give us the best possible deal on our claim. But in the instance of the car, you're worried because the money's going the other way. But understand this, that is your money. And as fiduciary board members for community association, understand every dollar needs to be accounted for. Every dollar that you're entitled to that is paid to you through your policy, the policy you have paid hundreds, if not millions of dollars for, you need to make sure that every dollar is coming back to your association. You have a fiduciary obligation to insure it. I do not understand why most associations do not believe they need a representative when they have a fiduciary interest to protect. In the instance where you have construction projects, you always hire a general contractor. And most often, in today's world, you're hiring an owner's rep, an engineer, or someone to oversee your project and to make sure that your interests are protected in it. But when it comes to insurance, again, we trust the process. When the process is stacked against you, it's stacked against your interest, from the broker to the insurance company's adjusters to the policies themselves and the legislative initiatives that have been, sadly, have been flowing through our legislator right now. The bills and laws that have been created have been tremendously anti-consumer. Across the country, we're seeing a lot of that. Now, there has been some bright spots, as we noted in prior episodes about Texas, recent prohibitions against certain use of public adjusting forms and some of the other things, been fantastic. Sadly, in Florida, we haven't had the same. In New York, I mean, hugely stacked against you. There's no entitlement to attorney's fees. In New Jersey, there was supposed to be, but after Superstorm Sandy, a lot of that unfortunately was eroded, and there's not as many consumer protections there as we'd like to see or that we believed were there at the time Superstorm Sandy hit in 2012. So with all of these things in mind, and those are just some examples, we operate in so many different states across the country, overseas, in many different international markets, and we're very well knowledgeable and equipped to manage and handle the placement of insurance and the recovery from loss pretty much anywhere in the world. And keeping in mind that we are an advocate for you, whereas your broker or the insurance company's adjusters are an advocate for their own interest or the insurance company. They're not there to manage your claims, particularly when you have a loss. And there's so many indicators as to why this is true. And I understand that this is almost like fighting against the institution of insurance. But it's the reality of it, and these are factual things. Go grab your policy. How about start with this one? Make it an easy one. Call your broker right now and ask them, Can I see my policy today? I want community association managers and board members today. Call the broker. Demand a full copy of your certified policy today. Most often, they're not going to have it, and you probably have a better copy of it because maybe they have delivered to you a copy of a policy. But is it the certified copy of the policy? Is it certified that in fact is the policy for your association? If you don't have that, then you don't have the policy. You have a policy, a copy of policy, but you need the certified copy of the policy to ensure that you have the policy for your association. Flip it open. Start going through those pages. Look for information regarding where the loss notice needs to be made. I can almost guarantee you it's not a call to your broker. It might not even mention your broker in there. In fact, a lot of these surplus lines insurance policies are sold through intermediaries, and the name of your actual broker is nowhere even on the policy itself, not on the deck page, not inside the policy. It may have come in a fancy folder that your broker gave you with the name of that agency on the front of it. But again, if it was sold through an intermediary where you have multi-layer policies, their name isn't even on the policy. It's nowhere even in it. The loss notice is not even required to go there. And again, not licensed to adjust claims. They're licensed to sell you a product. And the third point I made is, are their interests aligned with yours? And I would argue that most often they are not. And whether or not your particular agent you're dealing with within an agency is aware of the, let's call it profit sharing, or the bonuses or the incentives that are given to the brokerage firm or the agency as it relates to loss run ratios, it's to be seen. Now, I kind of, again, going back to the auto mechanic analogy that I gave with the auto salesperson. You buy a car from a salesperson, and when you have an issue, you go to the auto mechanic. But the mechanic is working for the dealership, and you're aware of that, and you're cognizant of that. And that's why you spend time analyzing what it is that they're telling you needs to be done in order to fix your car. But sadly, many associations fall victim to this process and believe that the insurance company adjusters are there for them, and believe that their agent or broker is there to help them in the claims process, when everything indicates that they're not. They absolutely are not. More recently, I had a meeting with a brokerage firm, and we were talking about some of the issues that are plaguing some community association with super high deductibles, and obviously increased limitations on water losses as well as hurricanes, and what to do in these situations. And a lot of people don't understand or know, particularly board members, and educate yourself about this. Public adjusters can not only help you with first-party claims, that's an insurance claim on your own insurance, but also with third-party claims, making claims against parties that were negligent or responsible for causing damage to your property. With super high deductibles on water claims, $50, $100, $1 million, this is an opportunity to ensure that you have representation, because otherwise your property manager is the one trying to ensure that notice was given, that you've proven the negligence, that you've provided the assessment of your damages, all the things that you're supposed to do in order to perfect your third-party claim. But unlike GlobalPro, which is an expert in insurance, your property manager is a fiduciary, just like a board member. And decisions or lack of decisions, or the indecision that may lead to the underpayment, delay, or denial of a third-party claim, again, is a terrible reflection and can expose the association to additional claims brought by unit owners. Okay, and you don't want to find yourself in a bad situation like that. Most law firms, community association law firms included, are completely unaware of the assistance that public adjuster can provide in a third-party claims process. And most community association lawyers, as well as even construction lawyers, et cetera, have no experience in making third-party claims when dealing with on-site issues such as caused by mechanical contractors or whatever else. And most of them think that we need to posture to make crazy demands to threaten litigation, when really all that needs to happen is the claims need to be adjusted. Part of adjustment is the proper notice. Proper notice requires multiple different things that need to occur in sequential order in order to perfect your claim and to get it paid. And we have tremendous amount of success here over the last 10 years here at GlobalPro, doing just this. We have built a huge reputation, a solid reputation, in advocating for the interest of community associations and business owners. Why both? Because they're both dealing with commercial policy forms. Those forms, again, are being stripped of coverage. They're complicated to read. It's more expensive. The laws are more complicated. The practices of these adjusters, the brokers alike, are different. They're all protecting their own specific interests. Why? Because we're in a hard market and everyone's fighting for business. But we're out there advocating, protecting your interests. So if you want to know more about this, I'll tell you a little secret. Make sure you like us and follow us. Why? Because you're going to get notice every single time we go live here on the Recovery Report, as well as when we distribute information just like this, meaningful information for you as a community association, as a board member. You want to know these things. You want to be a part of the process. You want to make sure that you educate yourself just the same way you would do with a construction project or something similar or different like that. It's important that you take the time to understand these processes. So let us know how we can help you. Reach out to us. Check us out on social media. Like us and follow us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube so you know when we go live here. And join us every single week right here, same place, same time on the Recovery Report, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We bring you actionable information you can use. And we are in storm season right now, so take action, protect your interests, and let us know how we can help you recover from your next loss or help you place your next insurance. Again, thank you to the audience for tuning in this week on the Recovery Report Live. We hit some really important issues, and this is what we're going to continue doing. So thank you again, and we'll see you same place, same time, right here on the Recovery Report Live.